We have a question about the extra legs from Jocelyn, and we just want to do a quick video. We've already come in and tore down our other set, so we're going to show you on something that we have going right now. It's not going to be the same as out in the yard, but it'll explain it for the most part. So you asked how he makes the extra legs, the horseshoe stakes, how you put them on. So Aaron deals with all this. I'm usually putting on the back row while he's leveling out the stand, so he's going to take it from here.
Hello. So usually what happens is when we install these signs, we'll put all 2, 3, 4 stands out in the lawn, usually put on the back row, and then step back and eyeball it to see. And I'm sure you guys have all been out there. You got a yard that both your ends are fantastic, but then it like bows in the middle, or you're on a slight hill, because not all yards are perfect, and everything looks great except for maybe your last set of stands, where maybe just the back end just drops off a bit, and you know that you need just a little lift, and then everything looks nice and level. So all we did was we have our stand, and when I was making the stand legs, I just made a bunch of extras. It's just blank. There's nothing. I finished it the same way as this, so if yours are naked, just make naked ones, or if they're painted, paint them the same way so that they match, because most of the time, anybody just driving by or looking, they won't even be able to tell the difference if you have a couple of legs underneath here. So if one of your ends is lower and obviously not level in your yard, all we do is while we're installing, she'll be throwing on the back row, I'll take a look, and so you just take it's the same length as your leg, and all I do is I just lift it in the yard and just place it right underneath this. And right there, now I have and most of the time, all we need is one leg. Because usually the yards are fairly level, but there might be just a dip or, I don't know, some bad grass or something.
We had that one yard that we needed 4, then 3, then 2, then 1, then 1.
Yeah, sure, you'll see your yard. And so this is, it's just enough of a lift, and it might even out your sign. And like Leah said, sometimes maybe the end of one of your side, we have it a lot, where like 3 stands width of the yard is fantastic, but then the yard isn't big enough and it goes down towards a flower bed or something, and the end one is just terrible. So sometimes if you need more lift, I just put another one in there, and now I got 2. Now sometimes when you put 2 on this one, then it creates an angle on this other one. So sometimes I'll have to put 2 on this one, and then I'll put 1 more on this one, and then that'll bring it up nice and level with the whole next stand. So sometimes it's just trial and error when you get out there in the yard real quick. I'll throw 1 in, step back. Was it enough? Yeah, it's good. All right, and then we'll move on to the next thing. So if I put 1, and then if not, throw another one on, step back, take a look. Was it too much? Because then you don't want to create too much, and then it's not level anymore. Then take that one out and just stick with 1. So after I put 1 in, just to be safe, because mine are finished, they're a little slick. I'm not saying that they would, even though we put the sandbags on, but I don't want them, floating around. I don't want them poking out or something. I don't want some kid to trip over it or anything. So all I did was cut strips of Velcro, and so what I do is once I put my leg in there, it's a lot easier in the grass because I can just slide it under. But on both sides, on the front and the back, all I do is just put some black Velcro on there. And since we have dark stands, nobody even knows. Customer doesn't even know it. You can't see it from the road, can't see it, nobody. I just slide it up real nice and close to that, and then it's done. And then I put another one on the back, and then that way this thing's not shifting about or anything like that, and I don't have to worry about somebody.
And you wrap it pretty tight, like it's pretty secure.
Oh yeah, wrap it tight, and then this thing won't move. Then your sign is really secure. Then once you do that, then obviously you guys probably know the sandbags that we used, and the sandbags will be on the back. Then, if you still are unsure if it's enough weight to hold it down,
which we have noticed, though, if we point that out, that a fixed legs versus swivel legs, when you use the swivel version, your center of gravity shifts because you move the legs in so that they can swivel under neatly and end up flush with the ends. Now, just like, so I played softball as a teen, and I was always catcher or outfield. Well, as a catcher, we don't squat down with our legs together. We open our stance a bit so that if the fast pitch comes at us, it doesn't knock us over. Well, it's the same thing with the stands. We prefer fixed for outside just because the center of gravity, we can keep them out further and it works better. We have a set that swivels, and we used it one night and we noticed that it was a little more tippy in winds that we're used to. What was it, like 35 mile per hour winds that night? And the sandbags alone weren't quite enough for this one we had up on a hill. So we realized that even at that wind, we needed these. So we've been using these for, oh my goodness, like a year now. And so you can tell them how you use those.
All right, so all these are, so all I did was take a normal, what is it, 6x whatever, just a normal stand, and I sacrificed a few of them.
Or a steak, yep, normal steak.
Of normal steaks. I sacrificed a few, so I cut out the crossbars in the middle, so then I just have a really long, metal steak or stick. And then I just took 2 pliers, or if you have a vise or something like that, or you can even do it on the edge of your workbench or anything, and I just bend it into, it almost looks like a croquet hoop or something like that. But I made sure that I made it so that it went, see how there's a little bit of overlap, because like I said, my stands are finished, and I guess I'm just trying to preserve them as much. I didn't want them scratching them as much as possible or anything like that. So I made sure that they fit over my legs, because what you're going to do is once I secure my stand, once I Velcro it, and then before we throw the sandbags on.
Well, you put the sandbag on to keep it safe towards the back of the legs.
Yeah. If I'm.
But before you roll it all the way up to the stand.
And then we do them on the back because these are silver, and I guess we're just weird. Once you put this on, if it's sunny out, it'll shine, and so this.
You could always spray paint them black.
And you could paint them or anything like that.
We're high maintenance, but not that much.
So I just put them on the back, and then I put my sandbags over them, so
Nobody
no
can
one
see
even
them.
knows that these are on the stand. So you're not seeing anything in the yard. There's no distraction or anything. So what you do is, if you don't have to be quiet, you can literally just take your hammer or a mallet and you can pound these in, or you just shove them. If you have to be quiet, you can just shove with the butt end of your hammer, or with your hand, but the ground is probably going to be kind of tough, so you need some sort of a tool or something.
Not for a lot of people. They don't live on our rocky island.
I guess maybe we're just special. But when I put these in, you don't put them in straight down, because that's a lot of length to go into the ground, and you might be there all night. You can try to do that, but that's a lot of work. And so what I do, I just put them in at an angle. And then that way it's not going down into the earth the entire way, and it's just going down. And obviously what it does, I go all the way until this is snug right in there. And that just adds more stability, so that if there was a wind that was going to try to pick up your stand, right, it would have to fight against this. And
the weight of the stand.
And the weight of the stand and your sandbag.
Yep.
And so since it's not straight up and down, it can't pull it straight up. It's crossway, so it's not going to pull it as hard up out of the earth.
And the winds that we had last night were going, this is ridiculous, and it's always like this, they were blowing the sign forward and backwards, like not side to side. The winds were coming from the front and from the back. It was ridiculous. And so with the sandbag on the back, and even after we put a couple of horseshoes on in the back, we ended up putting them on the front as well, just to be safe. And it lived, so hallelujah.
So I have 2 sizes, because where we live, there's no way. We found out that there was only this yard this last night. It was a nice yard, you could really tell. Was I able to get this much into the ground without hitting something, the rock, right? So I just took, when you take, one side of the 6x30, obviously it's 30, and then I cut it in half. And then
15 inches of straight steak bent into a U.
Half, so I get 2 out of doing it. And then this is enough. I've never had an issue using these now. when we put them in there. Because I can only get it, sometimes I can't even get it all the way flush down in here because I'm hitting rock already. But it is enough to secure it enough with the sandbag plus the weight of the actual stand, which they do a really good job, except when you get into our hurricane force winds. So this sandbag and the long enough leg will give you enough stability to hold the stand down. And then you don't got to worry about it. But that's how we put on the legs. That's how I put on the Velcro. Then put your bag on, and you're good to go.
Hopefully that answered your questions. If you need it down in the yard to show you, we'll try and do that at another time. But it's pretty late here. It's dark. It's rainy and it's cold. So this is what we've got for you. All right. Have a good night, Carters.